There has been lots of doom and gloom about James Bond since the Broccoli and Wilson family sold the rights to Jeff Bezos' super yacht drone army megafund, aka Amazon, and while, there has been some positives, including the revelation that Denis Villeneuve will be directing the next installment from a script written by Stephen Knight. Rumors on the casting front have also heated up in the last few weeks, with one name coming straight from a Hollywood trade, and one who, hilariously, reminds us instantly of one of the silliest James Bond casting controversies of all time. Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, Ewan here for Walk Culture, and while I don't have a license to kill, I do have a TV license, which probably makes me less cool than someone who doesn't have a TV license, which I didn't really think about before going into that joke, but whatever. Let's talk about James Bond. Now, as you're probably aware, a whole bunch of names have been linked with the part pretty much since before Daniel Craig even announced that No Time to Die would be his last movie. The most prominent name in the last few months has been Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who has apparently tested for the role according to rumor, but now we have another name, and I've got to say, it's kind of the most exciting one we've had so far. And the best part is, it's not just industry gossip, it's actually coming from a reputable source, and yeah, let's get into it. According to an unnamed source that has spoken to The Hollywood Reporter, British actor Scott Rose-Marsh was recently asked to read for the part for director Denis Villeneuve, using snippets of GoldenEye's script and also potentially some pages from Stephen Knight's currently in development Bond 26 script. Quote, "Whatever the material, rambling source claims Rose-Marsh was given just one piece of direction before the test cameras rolled. Don't impersonate a previous Bond." And to be honest, I think this is really exciting because again, it's actual concrete reporting, and also I'm really just looking forward to this new era of the franchise. James Bond, really cool. I probably wouldn't be excited if Denis Villeneuve wasn't directing, but this casting specifically is really fun for a whole bunch of reasons. The first of which is that he's kind of an unknown quantity. Scott Rose-Marsh has only done a few different TV shows as an actor. He's 37 and only broke out into the industry in 2020, so still a relatively new career, and also it flies in the face of the whole reporting that Amazon wanted a young Bond to go kickstart this new era with. And that's not because I have anything against like young James Bond stories, as long as they're not James Bond Jr. or something like that. But I think we probably all agree that James Bond needs a little bit of maturation to him, you know? He needs to have been around the block a little bit, and I think that casting someone in their mid-30s, that's the way to go. As for the whole controversy thing, well, Rose-Marsh, like Daniel Craig before him, isn't the naturally dark-haired character from Fleming's novel. In fact, he's a redhead. And yeah, doesn't that just make you think of the whole ridiculous reaction there was to Daniel Craig's casting back for, well, you know, when Casino Royale was being made? Everyone lost their minds because they were like, James Bond can't be blonde. He's James Bond, not James Blonde. And then, you know, Casino Royale was potentially like the greatest Bond movie ever made, so yeah, I haven't personally seen any crazy internet reactions to this rumor yet, but I'm less online than I used to be. But yeah, hopefully there isn't, because I feel like, you know, in that case, we've all grown, which is, you know, nice in 2025 when everything seems to be just a little bit on fire. And not to get too ahead of ourselves here, because it's still very early days in Bond 26's production, but the other exciting thing about this is that Rose-Marsh has a scar on his face. And for those who are familiar with the Ian Fleming novels, they will know that James Bond also had a scar on his face, so that's pretty cool. I don't want to read too heavily into all of this, because again, still very early days, but the other exciting thing about that is that it maybe indicates a certain tone to expect from the new Bond, potentially something that is hewing closer to the literary inspirations of the character, something that is, you know, really speaking to the kind of dark suaveness of Fleming's prose. So yeah, that's cool in and of itself. Again, I'm really excited to see what Villeneuve cooks up here because he's such a good director. And after, over like 15 years of Daniel Craig, which again, some good years in there, I think it's time. I think we're all ready for something new. And I think that, an unknown actor like Rose-Marsh, who again, I'm completely unfamiliar with, that in itself is really exciting. So yeah. And again, just to reiterate, I know there has been a lot of anxiety over this next Bond film, which I totally agree with, especially when there are rumors that, Jeff Bezos wants to put his wife in the movie, which, good lord, that would be terrible. But overall, I think the combination of Villeneuve and Stephen Knight is great. And if Rose-Marsh is the guy that they want, well, I gotta trust him. And for me, with the whole Scar dynamic and stuff like that, it really does feel like we're getting a decent-ish indication of what tone they're really, really aiming for here. There's a really good quote that Stephen Knight had in an interview with Deadline the other month, which I'm gonna read out now, which also, potentially clues us in on the overall kind of literary faithfulness of the next project. Quote, "It's fantastic to be invited to do it. I can't wait to get started. I'm hoping that, being a Bond fan for so many years, it will be imbued into me and I'll be able to produce something that's the same but different. And better, stronger, and bolder." Now, obviously, with it being Bond, we would expect lots of continuity. I don't mean that in terms of franchise history, but in overall tonality. There are certain things in the Bond formula that must be met in a new film. It's why Christopher Nolan has always been reticent to do a Bond movie. It's why Danny Boyle dropped out of doing a Bond movie. We know that there are certain creative expectations that need to be met. That may be changing under the new leadership, but the main thing in regards to that, the idea that, Knight is aiming for something that's bolder, I think we can expect something that's maybe skewing just a little bit more towards the tone and feel of Fleming's novels. Obviously, that was the case with Casino Royale, but with the other Craig movies kind of really delving into the legacy of the character and the legacy of the franchise on screen overall, they certainly shifted direction. No more clearly than with, Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die. So something for me that maybe is aiming for something more self-contained, a little bit more gritty and raw, that's really exciting. I'm so excited to see where this is going. Obviously, we've got a while to wait for it to come out, but I think, the idea of an unknown combined with the fact that we've got the guy who, is behind Peaky Blinders and Denis Villeneuve obviously involved, comprehensively as a project, the only thing that's kind of lurking in the distance, like Jaws, you can hear the John Williams theme going off around there, is Amazon. But if they stay out the way and we get a nice little Bond movie from Denis Villeneuve, starring an unknown British actor with a script written by Stephen Knight that hews closer to the source material, I don't know, I think these are positive signs. And for those who are curious about Rose-Marsh's credits before this point, there are a couple of TV shows that you can check him out in. He was in Wolves of War, Chloe, and most recently The Outlaws, which Christopher Walken also featured in. But yeah, that's really all the report had to say. Not much there to go off of, but overall, just really excited that the project is gathering steam, that we're getting unknown actors and not names that have been, tossed around into the ether for years and years now, like Henry Cavill or Tom Hardy. Again, great actors in their own way, but I think that having an unknown for the next era of the franchise, that's the way to go. But let me know what you all think down in the comments below. How do you feel about this potential casting? Again, it's not actually definitely happening, but do you think they're on the right lines, at least, with someone like Rose-Marsh? Let us know down in the comments below. Remember to do a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to What Culture so you don't miss another upload going forward. And if you're interested in more fun, hot takes from yours truly, we recently did a big video on why physical media isn't actually dying, despite all the reports saying that it is, which I'm really happy with. It was really cool. James Peart, one of our editors, did an amazing job on that one, so go check it out if you're interested in physical media and seeing me ramble for like half an hour, because that's a good time right there. I take that deal every time. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye.